With the pervasiveness of all these chemicals, how good is our organic food?
Well, I think organic farms have some challenges depending on who their neighbours are, in terms of controlling the water that they use, in terms of controlling drift, and certainly there's a large number of businesses that have to take great steps to protect themselves from contamination of their crop. I think movement towards organic is just simply a step in the right direction, as opposed to being the panacea for which we should be attaining. I think the likelihood is that the fines are much better on average, and I think that's how we need to be thinking about these things. There have been certainly reports that have been undertaken in New South Wales on fresh food at the wholesale market in Sydney, and those reports found that leafy greens, many of the leafy greens contained pesticides well above the residue limit. Sometimes they found 6 pesticides on the same crop. So in Sydney, a lot of those crops are produced by immigrant workers who work around the region, and their English is not fantastic and their reading is not fantastic, and they see a leaf that goes yellow, they get bottle A, spray the crop, the leaf's still yellow, bottle B, bottle C, and the produce is sold. So there's real exposure taking place down the chain.
Do you honestly think us as farmers want to spend money on chemicals that we don't really want to spray on any plant, whether it be macadamia, anything, watermelon, because of the cost? Do you want us to keep going with 3 chemicals in, 4 chemicals in, 6 chemicals in, you just said? Do you honestly think that we can afford to put that stuff on our crop? No, we can't. And what do you eat when you go home at night? What do you eat when you go home at night? Nobody can afford to put chemicals on if they can't. Nobody wants to spray. Nobody. And I tell you, some of these reports you got, you want to see where this stuff's coming from. Find it in the ground.
I can't summarise that, but I assume you're saying you don't want to use chemicals unnecessarily because of the cost, and you're saying the last
Nobody wants to spray Roundup. Nobody wants to spray copper. Nobody wants to spray at all. Nobody wants the tractors running up the area. How much money do you think we can afford?
What you're saying is that...
We're all on the phone with our art, and then we go to spray chemicals just like we can kill fish. I know where you're from, matey, but you've had a bit of more homework.
I assume you're saying that there's too many things you're saying, I can't understand it.
I can't see too many other farmers standing up here saying we can afford chemicals. You're saying we put 3 to 4 chemicals in one tank and spray.
That's true.
Bullshit.
Well, I wish that was the case, but unfortunately...
Show me the evidence. Show me the evidence, mate. Show me a farmer that can afford to put 4 different chemicals in a tank. Some of those chemicals cost thousands of dollars.
I know it's the case.
Do you know that?
I do know that.
You do know that.
I work with agriculture, mate.
Do you?
I do. I work with farmers.
And then you go and eat it, and then you stand up there and bang up farmers.
I didn't bang the farmers, I don't believe. I think that's where you might have the wrong end of the horse. One thing I'd like to do is help you reduce your chemical use, help you reduce the impact on the wider environment, help you improve your productivity on your farm, and there are many ways to do that.
That's why we're importing all the stuff from overseas.
I'm not all for imported food.
Well, that's the way it's going.
Yes, sir.
Indeed. Just to follow on, I think it is important that we do get the right information out. So Brian Stockwell from Department of Employment, Economic Development and Innovation, who's responsible for the sustainable production system. So one of the things, your recommendations at the end in terms of farmers and how to support them is a point of agreement. And the government is already working in those areas in the Kingpin catchment and achieving uptake of those practices, okay? So we benchmark the practices that we talked about, and we've got uptake and we've got incentives available. What I'm concerned about with your broad worldwide literature review is you've given us a heightened sense of threat in the Noosa catchment. Now the Noosa catchment and the Kinkin catchment, in terms of agriculture, 86,000 hectares of grazing, which largely do not use the chemicals of concern. Less than 300 hectares of horticulture. So when you compare horticulture in the Noosa catchment with the extent of horticultural cane in the rest of coastal catchments, if you make the leap to say that small amount of horticulture is taking population level impacts on the bass, then we would be seeing such different reactions in the Great Barrier Reef catchments that a lot of other communities are concerned. So we have to be really careful that the level of risk is not overstated. So we've got a very small level of horticulture, we've got farmers who are adopting best practice, and we've got a lot of things that is already underway. So I think that's important, that until we have certainty around what is the site-specific nature of the current threat, we don't extrapolate to say it's a catchment-wide problem.
Well, the first thing I'd like to say is that I invited the Director of Biosecurity Queensland to come and speak tonight. He refused. He refused to come and speak publicly. He refused to come and speak about the non-release of the task force report. He refused to come and speak about updating the public and the community about where Queensland was at with its chemical regulation upgrade. It was supposed to commence 2 years ago. Where is it at? Thought you might be quiet again.
Sorry, I'm not here just talking with regard to the specific matter. I'm talking about the good work that's currently being done.
I'd like to address your area there particularly in terms of impact of small amounts of horticulture. Where do you think the chemicals in the river are coming from? We've measured them. Where are they coming from?
As a catchment, any person who works in catchment management, you know there's long delays in the system. There's a range of historical land uses, there's a range of current land uses. We haven't done the work to determine at a subcatchment or catchment level to determine the likely sources that
They are in the river, aren't they?
Oh, your comment that in most rivers in the world that there's an agricultural footprint is correct. It's the level of that and the source of that that we don't have any certainty of on the Noosa.
Let's have a look at those other agricultural catchments. Let's have a look at the Burdekin. How many barramundi are harvested out of the Burdekin? A formerly fantastic commercial fishery for barramundi. How many? None. None. Not a single commercial fisher. Bug it. Don't try and tell me that horticultural catchments with high levels of horticulture are doing just hunky-dory. There used to be a massive commercial fishery for barramundi in Queensland. It's gone. And it's gone because those highly productive rivers are severely degraded. And there is an urgent need for precautionary action and principles which are well published. This is simply a small review. You've been handed documents from me containing lists of references, hundreds of papers, to which you have duly ignored. So thank you for your comment. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.